this hangout on air is live. That sounds like a good idea. Put our lower third to add the app. This is Alicia Stringer here, always empowering success dreams. And as I'm multitasking and adding my awesome name in here, I think it's here, that we can share with you our creating our legacy, as I put as the title. And there are so many ways to kind of look at this. And we just went through the Super Women Boot Camp. And this boot camp was sharing a specific part that Katie Spencer White was sharing her different. I don't know. I like the yellow hat better. Was
Oh,
sharing.
I gotta take that off. I didn't mean to put that on. I'm doing my logo. That must have hit on. Hold on a second. I was putting on my lower third, and I
We have fun here no matter what.
Sorry, a little.
I got Cindy on here. She's going to ask me some questions from her homework from the legacy training that Katie has given us in the Superwoman Boot Camp. Very powerful to hear her story and hear the transformation that she had to go through in her lives from having a couple of professional businesses, a lawyer and a teacher, and so many professions that she really had to study and work hard toward, and then switched gears. I think she said she had four kids, and one of them 4 years ago got diagnosed full-blown into autism, and how she's been able to change with that. And I've done another hangout with her, sharing some of those insights as well. It's very powerful to hear her story and transformation. And she asks us these questions so we can best study and go through our legacy and what we've been able to create, because it's so important to show who we are and what we want to leave an impact on the world. All right, so he is going to share some as well. Are you ready figuring out your hats?
I did. I got it. This is my hat. I had to be just like Alicia, but mine isn't as cool because it doesn't have the Empower Network logo. But I could actually put it on if I wanted to. I can get really creative. But I like the hat idea, so we're just sticking with the hat. And
Awesome.
before we go ahead and we start asking these questions, I want to just say that I have been a part of these Superwoman boot camps, and I kind of joined the third one a little bit late. And so I have been going through the assignments kind of in a weird order, let's just say. And it's been great because when I actually came out and said to the Superwoman, I'm so glad to be back here. I'm glad to be doing these assignments. I'm going to be going through the boot camp. It was Alicia who reached out to me and said, hey, let's do a hangout right now. Let's complete an assignment. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so we did a hangout for the last assignment. And then she messaged me and she said, I have to just finish up this one assignment. And of course I'm moving much more slowly through the course. But I hadn't gotten to this assignment is from the very last boot camp. And so since I'm going through it, I'm here and there, but I'm really trying to go from the forward to the back, and I had not gotten to Katie's, segment even to the whole boot camp. And so, I said to Alicia, I want to do it, but, I haven't gotten there. And she says, you know what? Just go ahead and just get to the boot camp. And then I couldn't find it, and I was like, at first, an excuse, but I was like, no, I'm not going to give an excuse. And so Alicia directed me to where it was, and it was like somebody was speaking to. There's a reason for everything, and it's really amazing because I already spoke and sent a special message to Katie, but I'm listening to it because I told Alicia that I would listen so I'd get prepared for this hangout today. So I had the hangout kind of, I have a big screen here, and I had the hangout, in the corner, and I was, kind of multitasking. And all of a sudden I heard Katie, and I stopped what I was doing. And I felt like she was speaking to me because I could relate so much to what she was saying. I could relate to, to really, wanting to leave that legacy, especially, from my point, I have a child who suffers from, anxiety and a lot of the things that she spoke about. So when I got chills when she was speaking about and leaving a legacy and how she could actually, what she has done and how her goals have, changed and focused. And so I'm just, thrilled to have gone through that training. it's powerful, and I'm, thankful for Alicia for, encouraging me. It's okay not to go in order, but just get to this, and there's a reason for that. And so I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm really, glad that we're doing this because it's powerful. Okay, so with that being
powerful
said,
one.
Okay, with that being said, we talked about a legacy, and Katie asked us to come up with some questions to talk. So I'm going to just start with the first one, and we talk about our predecessors, and who are they? Who are our ancestors, and who are the forebears? Who are the people in your life who, when you think of that, who does that come? Who comes to mind for you, Alicia?
I was trying to see if I can make a family tree, and I know a lot of my family tree, and I need to put it more in a easy format for my daughter so she can get a better idea of who they are as well. So the person I always think of, I got a picture, my granny, and I couldn't really find a good picture, but this is one of the best pictures that I see. She used to have my rainbow bright hair. She says, people used to call me Rainbow Bright because I had your hair. And then my teeth came from her granny back or something like that. So you find the resemblance in your family too, where they came back. But she is my dad's mom, Helen Roberts, and her maiden name was Holt. And she came from a family of 21 kids, I think. I'm trying to remember. 2 of them were stillborn, so 18 of them are around. And there are 4 or 5 still living. And so I kind of come from her, and I see the whole picture of the family tree, because she left a big impact on a lot of people in our lives, and I always want to talk more about her and the impact she made when you see other people's lives in the family tree, because she had 4 boys and a daughter, and my dad was one of them. And so I have an auntie, and I have some uncles, and there are 2 other ones still living, my Uncle Johnny and my now I'm trying to name them all. I can't. I'm going to go blank. Johnny and Stanley. And the other one passed away while I was pregnant with my daughter, and I always remember him because he always thought I was the prettiest one, and always gave me special, compliments and things and stuff like that. It's just you're gonna make it someday because you're just the prettiest one, and so I always remember his little quirks. Passed away from heart attacks. And even her husband had a heart attack. And he passed away while I was in my mommy's tummy, so I never knew her ex-husband. And in fact, my dad tells me stories that he didn't even want to go to the funeral because of the relationship that they had and stuff like that. But he did go to the funeral. So I always base back from Miss Helen Roberts, was Helen Holt, and the back of the 20-some-odd kids that they had, and it goes back to several of them were in World War II, and how they grew their families on the farm. And so I just know a little bit of stories from that, and one of my aunts actually did a big ancestry, big family tree of the Roberts and that whole family, the Holts and everything. And I think she even made a quilt. They're big quilters. My mom's a big, huge professional quilter. My dad's even involved, got the computer all done to it too. So they really do the big side. My mom's side has she has 2 older brothers, and she is from the Passon family. And my grandfather over there was in World War II, and he didn't die in the war. He passed away with a massive stroke, and my grandmother passed away with with cancer in her kidney or something. She had several different failures, but I remember them always being in the heart of Alabama, and one of those true farming families, and working hard. Families to get by, and I always loved swinging on the front tree, when we went and visited and stuff like that with the tire swing and all that fun country stuff you do. And I remember that I don't really associate much with my mom's family. I don't get to see them very much, but I do know one of my uncles are adopted sons, and still contacted them today. So you can imagine I don't have quite as big family as on my mom's side, and I don't really know that family as well as the massive Roberts family with the 21 kids and the 5 great uncles and all their kids and stuff like that. So that was where the massive family, and I know that more of that background. And then learning for my daughter, a little bit of my ex-husband's family, and learning that whole Stringer relationship over there. And they grew up in Texas, and there's a couple of them that went to the World War II or something like that, but I don't really, I think I printed it out, and I'm going to have to go back and find it for my daughter so she would actually know. I went to one family reunion to kind of learn a little bit about that. So disassociating with that, but I want my daughter to know who they are, because it seems like he didn't even know. And most of the family was from his mom, and she basically knew of the family from his dad and the whole Stringer clan, because I think they had 10 kids. Well, his grandfather was in a family of like 10 or 11 kids, so she has, I guess, great uncles and stuff. That was a big family, and and his grandmother only had like 2 kids, so his ex-husband's dad only had one other brother, and he died in a car accident, so he was like the only son, and so didn't really know a lot of that family, like, personally. So she knows that side of her family pretty well, not back up past a great-grandfather or so. And same like me, you kind of know your cousins and the grandparents, and then the great uncles and aunts and stuff. And past that, I'm really not familiar with. So I think my dad remembers that I can go back with my grandmother, that we had 4 or 5 generations living at one time, and I was like the little one, and had the generations. So I think that's powerful to know. If you can go back 4 or 5 generations, you kind of understand your family, and that's really neat that she was able to go back like 10 or 12 generations and kind of connect back up. But after that, once you go through divorces, and it's really challenging to know where the split and especially families today, of who your even sister stuff is. And I remember one of my friends, was trying to Google that, who is your dad of, had the family, and was meeting just brothers for the first time. And so sometimes I think we're twins, but you can really find you yourself once you put your name out there on videos or blogs and say who you are. People can start finding you in your ancestry a lot better, because other than that, they've got death certificates. And I went on Ancestry.com and found the death certificate of Helen Holt, but I don't think it was my granny. No, I don't think it was her. She died a couple years ago, and the last death certificate I saw was 2008. So I don't think that was hers quite yet. And I didn't. I think you have to pay to find that information of where the death certificates and stuff are. So I need to make sure I have in a safe spot, just like our birth certificates, where the family history is, and I think just keeping that all together. I think go back and everybody should have a copy of that. And one of my aunts, great aunts, I know is that as I ask my parents and find out where that information is and keep that. So that's a little bit about my background. Yes.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome that you were able to really, go ahead and get that much information. And it's really interesting that you say that, because as you're speaking about your family, I mean, there's a lot of resemblance in my family, because when I think of, my personal family, I think of my grandmother, and she was one of 12, my grandmother, and none of them are alive anymore. But she was like the glue that held everybody together. We would see her sisters. We would get together at her house with my mom's first cousins, and I really think when I think of that family, and I still meet cousins today, okay, who where cousins are brothers or sisters, and in fact one of my my son's in elementary school, and the last name is Gagerman, and there's a little boy. Well, I mean, now he's in 6th grade, but there's a little boy when he starts kindergarten with the last name of Gagerman, and I'm like, this has got to be a relative of us. And, of course, my son doesn't know, and I see the little boy, and it was strange. He looked just like a Gagerman, and turns out he's a relative of mine. So that's my mom's, that's my mom's side of the family. My father's side of the family is what I really don't know. I don't know much background about that. Have of them. My mother passed away before I was born. I'm actually named after her. My dad came from a split family. So what I mean by his mother was Jewish and his father wasn't, and which was really kind of strange, because with my dad, he always said to us, it's really important for you to marry within your religion, whatever it is. And that was something that he felt, because what happened with him is that he was Jewish for some reason, but his brother wasn't. And so it happened like, he got taken and had a bris right away, and my other one and his brother was baptized right away. And it was kind of like just done like that. And as they grew older and they had families, that's when you get together with your families and you celebrate these holidays and you celebrate these events. And, we would be celebrating one and they would be celebrating the other, and it was very awkward. And it was something that my dad really believed in keeping family together. He never really cared so much about what religion it was, just that the faith and the belief within a couple was the same. Something that he always, told me. I don't really know much about his family. My grandfather, my maiden name, is Casas, which is Spanish. My grandfather married somebody who I only knew as my grandmother, but she only spoke Spanish. Okay, so I really didn't really communicate with her. She lived, they didn't live around here, so I don't know much about them. My husband's family, and I've been with my husband since he's my high school sweetheart. I've known him since I'm 15, so I know his family extremely, extremely well. And when I think of his family, I think of his grandmother and grandfather. I never met his grandfather, but they were the super glue of their family, and that was on his mother's side. Both my husband's parents passed away at a very young age, and it is amazing to me what happens with family when things like that happen, because I see what happened on my husband's side of the family and how he was treated, when his parents were gone, and how he was treated by his family. And then I see, and within my own family, my mom's brother's kids both lost their parents, and how they're treated. And it shows just the backgrounds and things like that. It's pretty cool to see. And going through this lesson with Katie, I can really see how, my family and my ancestors, how they have really come to affect, me and how I grew up and some of the values that I have. And that kind of leads us into our next question, is, what values and actions have we inherited from our past and from our ancestors? And, good or bad, we've inherited it as we learned from Katie, she says some of these things are instilled in us, at the age of 7, and by 13, some of these, our mind is already molded unless you're going through some sort of, mind shift or mind reprogramming, as she says, which we do in our boot camp. It's sometimes hard to change that. So, I'm just going to ask you, is there, what value, what have you inherited that you realize? And then, I'm going to incorporate it because I think these go in, into the same thing. And, the things that you have inherited, are they, pushing you forward? Are they helping you grow? Or are they, holding you back? I think they kind of go, one and one, so I'm going to ask both questions kind of together.
Right. It's very powerful to see the dynamics in the family and how you were treated to how you want your family to be treated, or how you want to present that to others. And I kind of go back to my granny and how she was treated. She spoke her mind. She is not afraid of that. In fact, she spoke all the time. She'll speak to herself. She'll just be talking all the time. And it's so funny. I tried to talk with her, and she'd just be rambling. I'm like, are you listening to me? So how does that affect you? And I think that sees the value that she's, seeing out of the mind. She always wanted to put, she always put that question about, are you going to do this after I'm in the grave, is that how you're going to act now? And she always made sure that you acted on purpose. And I think that's something that instills when you see how hard they worked in the past, how you always want to put your best foot forward. And I think that's some of the values that I take with me, because there are so many people, so many other family members that I think of that were just either plain dumb or plain lazy or some other excuse, and I never wanted to be associated with that. And I always wanted to make sure that I had those values, that I was one of the ones that just show that I show some actions in what I do. And being online and not really knowing my family, and that they're not online seeing what I do, it is a different outlook that they don't really. There's only a couple of them that might see like some of the Facebook stuff I do and kind of question that. And I'm also seeing more the change, the transformation as I learn more of my family as well. So I think I inherited the hard work ethic, I guess, and I don't see that they're pushing me back in any way, because as we are all unique and we take lots of different things. I think when we look at our health from different family members, I think that's what kind of holds us back sometimes, going, oh my goodness, they died of heart failure, and oh my goodness, they died of cancer, and they had this ailment that you're probably going to get it too. So I think that's the stuff that pushes us back sometimes, because that's the first thing the doctor asks, on that sheet. Hey, your family history, what did they die of? What do they have? Do they have diabetes? So it's like the first thing that they ask to hold you back and who you are, because you got this family history of how they died, or really, or what ailments does your family have. And I think that's the first thing that can hold you back. And I don't think that because my dad had quadruple bypass surgery of heart failure, that I have to watch what I eat or watch. I just stay healthy, and some things like that, when I get older, I'll just have to make sure I'm aware of it. And I think just knowing that your family history of your health or whatever can be something that could hold you back. And I think that's the major thing of when you see disease or health, that's the first thing that holds you back in a major mindset way. And I'm gonna take control of that because I'm aware of it, and I'm not going to control it, because I knew it controlled my granny in a way, because she had this malignant something in her breast, and she was actually in the doctor to remove that. And I think they did some tests, but I'm not sure of how well her heart was before they took this biopsy or did surgery on her for her breast, and she didn't make it past that surgery and stuff, because of the heart failure that she had, and going through that surgery and stuff. So I think that is something that seriously that you need to be aware of in your history, but don't be aware of it in a way not to hold you back in what the actions that you need to take care of your health, to take care of your future, to take care of your legacy and the people around you. So that's the major thing that I'm going to put out there for you, and something that I'm going to push forward, that saying that you have to prove something, you're being who you are, because you're aware so much more of what those things that pushed people back in the past in your family, to move you forward in a way that you can be your own self and not let that control you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome. I think, you know what, I never really thought about what you said, but, you know, it is the first thing that they say, you know, when you go to a doctor, you know, what type of ailments, you know, and it always, you know, it surfaces, you know, in your thoughts because of that. So, wow, that was very, very interesting. You know, for me, I can say, you know, my grandmother was, you know, the glue of the family. You know, she was a wonderful, powerful, you know, strong lady. However, she was also the one who, not that she didn't believe in us, but she would kind of instill, are you sure you want to do that? Or, you know, if our hair was too long, she would say, oh, your hair's ugly, your hair's, you just, you know, she just would say it. And the other thing that she did also was, shh, don't tell anybody about things that are going on in the family. You know, like, hush, hush, you know, don't tell anybody that there's anybody sick, or don't tell anybody that these things are happening. And so for a long time in my life, the glue, you know, the mom, the family mom, you know, the recipes, I love all of her recipes, I do all that, but part of it that held me back was being a little bit who I am, and sharing with the world, you know, sharing my story, and that kind of held me back. I had to reprogram my mind to say, you know, this is okay. Everybody, not that it wasn't okay for her, but, you know, you have to go with who you are and what resonates with you. And for her, she wasn't comfortable sharing things. And out of pure respect to anybody who's like that's cool. But, you know, when you become somebody who you feel you have a message to share, and you feel like you need to reach out, you have to get past some of those things, and you have to be willing to become transparent. And so that was something that I had, you know, had to push forward in my business, is being transparent, you know, letting people know that I'm dealing with some of the things that I deal with in my life, letting people know that my husband's, you know, not well, you know, that I deal with, you know, him being a juvenile diabetic, and, you know, complications of that disease on a daily basis, you know, having him in and out of the hospital, you know, more frequently than most people deal with, you know, their spouse in a hospital situation. And, you know, never before, you know, when I would speak before, it was always like I would get, oh, the poor Cindy. And I don't look for the poor Cindy, but because I want people to realize that, you know, real life things happen, and people can deal with them. You can deal with them. You can deal with these hardships. You got to change your mindset, look at the bright side of things, and not the woe's me. And a lot of those things, held me back, but I have surrounded myself with a group like the Superwoman who have encouraged me to step into my power and believe in myself. So I've been able to like Katie says, reprogram some of those thoughts from the past.
Very powerful.
Okay, so we're going to move on, I think, to the next question. And, we talk a little bit about, we've talked about, our legacy and how that it affects us. And we want to, know what type of values, we have, what type of core values we each have. Because when you think about your core values, it helps you to determine so many different things that we'll talk about later. But before you can, have a vision and a mission and some clarity, you really need to know what your values are. So we're going to talk just, briefly about what are your core values.
My core, we wanted to name 5, and it seems like I could keep going on these. And I had a hard time until she really understood what core values were. It shows more of what you stand for, the personality, and just really one words. And so I stand for, always creating success dreams. So I put number 1 was loving. That was one of my number 1 core values. Always be loving. And if you have that first, everything seems to come in place because you're different things. So I'm just going to put loving first, and because I've had a tough time when you have all these haters and stuff coming at you, you have to find the love in every situation. So I'm going to keep that as a core value. Number 2, I'm going to have honesty. Number 3, I'm going to have committed, and then with that I put in truth, because you have to be committed in the truth that you want to put out there for your true value. Number consistency. And number 5 is positive. So there's my 5 core values.
Awesome.
How about you?
Okay, so mine are, we have a couple of them that are the same. I wonder why that would be. They say that you surround yourself with people who are, like you. So, number 1, love. I want people to think me. I want them to, I have so much love to give and receive that, that is a huge core value to me. Family love, friendship love. Love is so big. Love for the world, love for humanity, just love. Okay, it's big. Number 2 is compassion. Compassion for others who, may be going through hardships, who have sickness, who are dealing with. I think that a lot of people confuse feeling sorry for people with compassion. And, I really think that there's a lot of people who would like compassion. They don't want people to feel sorry for them, but they just would like that compassion. So I really feel that compassion is a very core value, having compassion for the human race and other people. Honesty. I definitely believe in honesty. It's a huge part of who I am. I believe in being honest. I like to surround myself with honesty. I don't believe in all the BS out there. It's just who I am. I don't like to deal with it. I don't like the drama. I just like the honesty. Definitely, that kind of goes with being transparent, which is another core value of mine. Just being transparent, being who I am. Not trying to be this one, or trying to be Layla, or trying to be, Alicia, or trying to be Melissa, or trying to be Joanne. Just being transparent with me. Okay? And the last thing that I want to, my core value is commitment. Commitment to every decision I make in my life. Committed to, being the best mom, committed to being the best leader, committed to being the best wife, committed to being the best daughter, sister. And I'm not perfect, and I know that. And, so, that's where compassion comes in. And I need to be compassionate to when I'm not doing the best I can. So those are my 5. Okay, and then with those 5, we're going to go, I started to go ahead of myself. but what actions can we take, to live out these ideals, and what is our mission, and how we're going to use this to, build our inheritance and turn our legacy. So.
Yes, these are the powerful questions. I have to go first.
The powerful ones, yeah, but they kind of all tie in together, I believe.
Yeah.
If you want to take them one at a time, you can, but I kind of feel like they all kind of talk about them all. But we're basically talking about, how we're going, what actions we're going to take to live out these ideals, what's our mission, and, how we're going to build it in our inheritance, our legacy.
I think when we looked at our past and our ancestors and the legacy that they left, what you remember of them, or what did they leave on the world, we always want to say, what actions am I going to do now to either do the same, or what actions are people going to remember you for? And so I always have that in my forbearing mind, like every day. And so I want to do this and reaching different goals and making these videos. It seems like the proof, and like the big celebrities that come out and they always have all these famous videos that you can remember the people by the pictures or whatever. So I'm always doing tons of that and sharing more of our personality, because it's something tangible. I know that it's going to be left behind on that. So always leaving lots of proof and goals out there on doing that. And I think I already said some of the action, me sharing some of my family history, that I want to leave a little bit for my daughter, and what she would what I remember for her, and have it in a way that it's easy for them to grab, them to take, and have that accessible for them. So that would be one of the action steps that I have, is maybe know where that major quilt was that shows all the history of the Holt family or something, and have that in a piece of paper or something in a spot where I know that she can access. She knows where it's at, in a safe, protected spot where we can always access our history and know where that is when we want to remember that kind of stuff for, and move that forward, and how we want to represent stuff in the world. I think a lot of people think, oh, I need to write books, and this is all the content that I want to leave out there for so many more people. So that might be something some people want to do, but I never really wanted to create it. I think just reaching some of the different goals that I want in my business will show the legacy I want to create. But I want to create those memories that people remember me from. Like I said, I think I put on my Facebook wall going, what do you want people to remember you by? And it was totally something different than what they're doing. I was like, what? You do that? And so it's kind of totally different. I would remember because I donated to this organization, or because I contributed to, helping create something of a different formation. So I think that was real interesting to always have that in your goal, in your ideal of what you want to leave out, the actions you want to take. So I'll share. I created a mission, and that was like one of the first things I did when I created my blog. Was that people probably want to know who you are and what your mission is. So when I created my story, that was the first thing I did. So I go back to it, and I probably really did it and put it more in today's and with my goals. But I shared that my whole mission is to inspire others and to have patience and persistence in whatever they seek in life. And remember, you can create the life you want to live. And I need to share more of the success dream journey that I want to help people create in the way they want to create their lifestyle or their life with their families, and what they want to be remembered for. So how will I build on my inheritance? And when I thought at first, the question of this mind of this. The first word in this question was like inheritance. I was like, this is like the reason why I'm like trying to get out of the spot I am right now. Okay, because my dad created like this huge inheritance. He's helped start Compaq Computers. He created this multi-million-dollar house and ranch that I'm sitting in right now. He has a huge there's a lot of inheritance, I guess I would say, involved in sitting on who I am with him. And when I thought of inheritance, and I'm like, oh, I'm still sitting in the inheritance. What are you going to do with this big old house? I was like, yes, we do enjoy it here. And it was not, my life's dream to go and build a ranch in the middle of Tennessee, in the middle of nowhere. It was my dad's dream. And so taking that and seeing how he created this house and how it was all put together and how it's a lot, to how he's trying to sell the place and how many people are attracted to it, but the first few years, within the first 5 years that they lived in this house, they put it up for sale. So, and when he was building this house, I was like, why are you building that huge house? I'm never going to live in it. I was already graduating from college. I was like graduating from college, and it was the year I got married. Was the month before I got married, they moved into this house. And so when I think of that inheritance, I think, of all the stuff, and I just think of stuff. I was like, no, I don't want to think of stuff. Do you want to leave your family with stuff? A huge house or a huge, gorgeous piano. Sure, I want to carry down the piano and let them decide whether to sell it or use it or whatever. Sure, that would be amazing to have them set up for an amazing inheritance that you feel comfortable in leaving for your family. Because I've seen inheritance where they left it all in CDs here and there, and they were able to give it to the whole congregation and build a whole new building that they wanted to create. So it's to leave it in money or stuff, but also a reason that why you want to leave it for them. And because sometimes you don't want just the family to have all your stuff. You maybe want it to go to a certain organization or certain cause or charity of why you want to leave something. And I think that's when we want to build on inheritance. What do you want to leave for other people with your stuff? Why not get rid of your stuff now before it gets put on them and they don't know how to control it? There's one last story I have from someone leaving their inheritance, and it really didn't put it in perspective, because this friend says, I led an awful life because I am gay and I contracted AIDS, but I know how to do business, I know how to do my money. And he had several businesses set up, and he left family, and he knew his expiration date because he had AIDS and because of his partner already passed away, and he knew he had to give his business and his funds to somebody. And so he taught I think his relative family that he knew, or someone that he trusted, people involved, of who he wanted to leave his funds with, his legacy. He wanted to teach them what to do with the funds on his business manners. And I think that was very enlightening to feel comfortable that once you hand them your stuff or all the money, that they know what to do with it. Because if I got handed this huge property right now, I would still be going to the same realtors or something. And I know a little bit of marketing now, but still there's so much stuff that I don't know. I wouldn't know, kind of how to handle some things. And so I'm still learning that process, going how you got handed a multi-million-dollar business. How do you manage that? And a lot of people don't know how to manage that. I know a little bit about it, but I feel like I'm still not in their shoes yet. like I'm still in the process of learning. And same thing with my daughter. I want to, make sure she knows how to handle some things, after I pass away. What would that happen? So I think I'm going to build on my inheritance to teach people around me, or teach who I want to leave that inheritance for, what to do with my stuff, how to share, the music that I love or what I play, and what to do with that information, all these books of old music, how do you preserve that and keep that where people will always be able to enjoy playing the piano, or just little things that sometimes you don't think of, but how are you going to leave it for those once you're gone? And I think intense, and so I think that parts of how you grow on your will, because I don't think I have a will yet, or though it's kind of like you have a growing will of what you're working toward, of what you want to leave behind. So that was like the first thing, going, oh, inheritance, I know I have so much of it, and what am I going to do with it? And so I'm going to build on the inheritance you have, what you have out there, and make sure people know what to do with it in a way that would respect you and respect your wishes, and they know what you would want, even though that probably will not do that, but at least your voice, was heard because you built on your inheritance. That's a heavy question.
That's great. That was awesome. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It makes perfect sense, and you don't really think about that. But it's funny that you say that, because before I actually go ahead, Jimmy, my husband, we used to always go to his grandmother's house, and my husband just, for one reason or other, he just loved. She had the most beautiful. We don't even use it, and she never used it. It was more decoration, but this beautiful china set. And it was all sterling silver, needs to get polished, just gorgeous. And he used to tease her all the time, I think you should give it to me now, because I can enjoy it now, and then it's with me. And she would laugh and laugh and laugh, but you know what? She did. And we have it, and she knows that we have it. And, those little things are really, it's cool. Okay, so I'm just going to go back, and talk about, what actions can you take. And, as you're talking about this, I feel like we are in such the perfect niche or industry to actually, carry out our values and our core values, and leave it, my mission now is to leave a stamp, and it's so easy with social media and the way we can put ourselves out there. And our message, through videos, through blogging, through social media, people can find out long after I'm gone, who's Cindy about? This stuff is imprinted, it's there. I'm putting it out to the world, and so I find that it's really cool. Just when you talk about what actions can you take, I'm taking those actions right now. By being part of a community where I am, giving value daily, and I'm teaching people things, and I'm sharing information that I hope will inspire others and motivate them to, feel more compassionate, to have more love, to feel, that they can be more transparent. And, how is that, and when I think of inheritance, it's interesting, and maybe it's probably like different in ages or whatnot, but when I think of inheritance, I don't always think of monetary, because my husband's parents both passed away, and we did inherit some money, so that was great. But when I think about it, I don't necessarily think about the money that we inherited from them. I actually think more about what we inherited from them, about life and about living and about perception, because my husband's father, and his name is Lenny Bloom, and that is why I have a son named Lenny Bloom, was one of the greatest men that I knew. Compassionate, proud, loving, and just adored everything that he stood for. And so in my, inheritance, I want, I want to instill that people that the inheritance, that they have the power within themselves to create their own inheritance. That they don't have to have an inheritance, that it's something that you can't do, that to empower them, to empower, the people around me to know what to do, okay, to take charge. Because like you say, you can you can inherit money, you can inherit all these things, but if you don't have the power within you, and you're not empowered to know what to do with these things, to me, it's a waste and it's a burden to people. So in building my inheritance, it's important to me to empower those around me to know how to accept the inheritance and what to do with it. And the way that I'm going about doing that is by leaving my legacy, leaving things, not in Post-its anymore, not here, but on social media, in a video. My family doesn't always look at my videos now, but you know what? There may be a time in their life where they're wanting to know more about this or more about that, and they'll look and they'll have all of these things. They'll know, hey, you know what? I saw her do something, or I listened to one of these speeches that she did, and she actually, she touched lives. She helped people, and that makes me proud. And if she could do that, I can do that, and that's what I want to build on. So, what do you think of that?
Cry.
Huh?
Makes me cry.
You know what? My kids are, it's interesting. My kids are older. I mean, I still have a little one. He's 13 years old. Okay, so I have one that's 13, and I have one who's going to be 21, in October. And it's just, I can see, some of the effects. I have to be saying, I myself, I wasn't always a happy, always as happy, and I think that a lot of my struggles, as a new parent when Lenny was born, maybe, it could, I look at myself. I don't blame myself because, blaming yourself isn't going to do any good, but I can look at maybe how I helped program some of these things in his mind and how I can help reprogram some of these things. So this was a very powerful experiment, and being part of the Superwoman group and training and boot camps is so powerful and such an incredible connection. So I just want to give a shout out to Layla for doing this, and I think maybe to Joanne for maybe giving her planting the seed, maybe telling her that that's something we ladies needed, and for all of you ladies who actually, Alicia, all the ladies who actually went out and did the training and shared so much, because it's powerful. And so I just want to thank you. Even though I haven't gone through it, I've seen a lot of the interactions and the excitement and the breakthroughs that the ladies who have gone through it have done, and it's just amazing to see.
And that's another thing, we go through it, but I'm probably going to have to go back through it again. And sometimes it takes a couple of times to get some of the training done, going through a couple of times to really understand it and get it anyways. And I like how you shared in your inheritance how you strike your voice and what you want them to do, because if you don't, they're not going to, there's no point, you're wasting your energy. And so I think that's very powerful in a lot of the decisions that you have to make, going, where do you want to put your energy to make it worth it. And so we've had a lot of powerful breakthroughs in here, and I am so thankful, Cindy, for you to share that information with me, and how I really relate to a lot of women that are, are maybe in an age that they can have grandkids, because there is one lady in the church in the last congregation, and she was my exact same age. She was 35, and she had a child that was 16, 18, 17 when she was 16, and her child had a child when she was 16, and they had like the 3 generation going right now, going, oh my goodness, you're a grandmother, and she's only like 35. I was like, how much more experiences that she's gone through, and seeing some of those impact, and it really does on the different decisions you make. And you could be a grandmother at 35. That just blows me away.
I'm not a grandma yet.
No, you're not. But I mean,
Not a grandma yet.
I was like, I'm not a grandma yet. Yeah, I was the same
going on, but not a grandma yet. So, but I do have a 18-year-old who is chomping at the bits because he's leaving for school on the 27th, and he's chomping at the bits to go get some cool new shirts. So that's what I'm about to do. I'm about to take my break for the day and enjoy some freedom of working from home and go and do a little shopping with him. And I'm super glad that we were able to get this hangout in, and I will probably hear you on the call shortly because while I'm driving there, I'll probably hop on the call.
Sounds good. Sounds like fun. Thank you so much for creating this legacy with us together. I look forward to seeing more people get some breakaways from this as well, because I share too much of my family information.
It was awesome. No, it was powerful. So thanks for doing that, and you rock. And to my hat friend, I'm Yellow Hat, she's Pink Cat, and we'll see you guys later.
See you inside Superwoman. Bye, guys.
Absolutely.